Why? Because they didn't have the foundation to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see, a person might be doing righteous action, but righteous action not regarded, not considered, not helping the person at all. Our task as a believer in understanding the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make the teaching, the ayat, to translate them into action, into behavior, into conduct, in way of thinking. That's why we said تخلق العقول, to have the minds, the thinking adhere to the high moral standard, to the divine moral standard, is the way how to think. Because the way how to think is going to kind of review, restructure your priorities in life. Restructure your priorities in life, which is kind of the second aspect, which is al-iradatu. Al-iradatu most likely is like the drive that drive you in this life, the purpose, the motivation, the initiative, all of that. When you have to have a belief, you have something, you have to have a purpose. And then the irada will make, therefore, the dream, the highest dream will be the tadayyun. The highest dream to be the tadayyun, which is how you adhere to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ قال قل, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يلقنه, teaching him what to say to us, what to say to the humankind. قل إني أمرت أن أعبد الله مخلصا له الدين. Say, I have been ordained to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mukhlis, full sincerity, devout worship, له الدين, to him alone subhanahu wa ta'ala. وأمرت, and as has been ordained, أن أكون أول المسلمين, to be the first to submit his will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, being in the path of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our submission, the submission to our will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, need to be the highest and the ultimate priority in our life. And that's what the Quran is teaching us. When we look at Surah, the Juz of Amma, is an amazing Juz. It's an amazing Juz. It's the most read Juz, but the least Juz understood. It has different aspects, subhanAllah, that we introduce them today. To help us in understanding every aspect of the Juz, starting with Surah An-Naba. First, the manhaj of the tafsir, the path of the tafsir, or the methodology of the tafsir, it's not to go word by word, like, talking about the linguistic aspect of it, because that will not be beneficial for most of us. Especially that we're going to be, the classes will be in English, it's not in Arabic. But the most important that we want is how to understand the ayat, to translate them into a path, and to have that morality be introduced to our thinking, to our way of doing, the way of action, and really to build a new willpower within us to drive us toward the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This ayat of Surah, or the Juz of Amma, it has a very powerful aspect. This powerful aspect first into the eloquency of the ayat themselves. When we say how eloquent the ayat, they are very short. So, as the scholar they say, is like, kind of, someone when he's thirsty, and he's drinking, sips of water. So this ayat, like, kind of sips of water to give you, gradually the satisfaction of the thirst of the heart. Another aspect is also they are short. They are acting like, subhanallah, hammering, like someone is hammering a nail, subhanallah, to have it to be fully nailed into, for example, the wood or the table or the plank wood, to have it to be, maintain itself. These type of ayat, which only exist in Al-Mufassal, And the Hizb al-Mufassal, you know, as it has been narrated from the companion of the Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim, start from Surah Qaf, another opinion from Surah Al-Hujurat. So these very short messages are messages, subhanAllah, it's like to hit the mind and then dwell into the heart to cause a whole revolution within the self. Now imagine the companion of the Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim, and this is most of the ayat that has been revealed into the Meccan period. Short, concise, hit deep, and really revolutionize the whole system inside. Imagine someone addicted to this worldly life, addicted to desire, addicted to alcohol, addicted to fun, addicted to all what this worldly life today offers. How this person, you change him to become his addiction or her addiction in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How? So the restructure, the revolution, the quake need to happen within the deep soul. Therefore, the ayat must be ayat short, concise, is like hitting an arrow after an arrow, or like a hammering, or like giving a sip of water, someone is thirsty. So you have first to make them feel thirsty. Because the person who's really, you know, intoxicated by the desire of this dunya, he does not feel thirsty, he feels satisfied. Therefore, you have to shake them and to, subhanAllah, and cover them. They're going to look at their awrah, they don't have anything to clothe themselves with. That's when they need that clothes of remembrance, that clothes of the guidance. And this is what happened to the companion of the Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim. Those higher dream was to sit in the club in Mecca drinking and saying poetry and, you know, showing off. It becomes their higher dream is to die in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How the change have happened? How the change has happened is within these short messages that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constructed His words with into this chapter of Juz Amma. The other aspect in the Juz that it really define the divine worldview, the divine worldview. And this is very important because people, they talk about worldview, especially with the student, we always talk to them about this concept because people, when they talk about the worldview and what does it mean worldview, the worldview is how we perceive this life, how we perceive this universe, how we define the human being. The worldview, according to an atheist, the human being, you know, he's originated from, you know, from cells and things, and then came an ape, and turned so their grandfather is an ape. And before the ape, they were somewhere in the ocean, somewhere swimming. With this natural selection, you know. So that's how they've been defined. So if you define yourself like that, you're going to have mental illness from the beginning, from your birth, when someone like born as a Muslim. Life is opportunities. What makes a person successful in life is making money. What makes someone important in life is to consume, and so on, you know. So to be confined, one's life, one's realm of life, within this very short life. And when a person by nature struggling with their finitude, which is like restricted life, restricted knowledge, restricted space, you know, in traveling, in doing things, all of that, subhanAllah, restricted, makes someone be suffocated deep down. And this is what defines them to feel such, is because they don't believe in an ultimate divine guidance. They don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that what He presented to the companion of the Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim to us, in this juz, the world, the divine view of this world. So we have two worlds, the world of the physical world that we can touch, we can see, thing that we can smell, we can sense, and a word that we do not have any clue about it, the unseen word. The atheist or the agnostic or the godless society, they reject the whole unseen word. It becomes fantasy, it becomes mystery, they call it, inexplicable things. But subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will help you to give you the guidance and the reality of the word that you don't see. When you die, what would happen? When you sleep, what's happening? What happening? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning of Surah An-Naba qala وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. Nawm is something so amazing, intriguing. It's not part of your will, it's not part of your choice. You cannot say, today I decide I'm not going to sleep. Try it. Tomorrow you cannot even walk. Or even, you're going to be behind the wheel, your head is going to be like, just, fall on the wheels. And then what's going to happen? You're going to end up by having an accident. Why? Because you want to take over something that is beyond your own control, which is sleep. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions sleep in the ayah, it has really profound meaning to help us understand how weak we are and how we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I read this short introduction by one of the scholars, rahimahullah ta'ala, in the beginning of the Juz of Amma. So the whole Juz, except Surah Al-Bayyinah and Surah Al-Nasr, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ, which are Madani, all of them, they have been, revealed in Mecca. So he said, when means revealed in Mecca and Medina, what's the difference between them? Revealed in Mecca, we are here new. We don't have idea about this new belief. We open our heart to embrace the new belief. We want to understand. That's how we should be. So when we say Makki ayat, Makki surah, let's open our heart to absorb it, to have soak our heart with it. Therefore, we are refreshing our beliefs. For the companion, they were building their belief. And let's build our belief again with this ayat. So, he said, the very length, however, the most important aspect in their unique nature, which places them in their own distinct position in terms of theme, rhymes, imagery, how it pictures the situation, how things are described in the hellfire, how things are described in the Jannah, to give you new perspective, to instill in you new taste, to instill in you new dreams. And subhanAllah, it becomes how the Jannah becomes your dream is by reading the Quran. And overall style. They are like continuous knocks on the senses. It's like someone knocking on your sense. Violent, powerful, loud knocks. And shouts. Shouts directed at sleepers deeply immersed in slumber. We are sleeping. Really, because as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, people are asleep. When they die, they wake up. So the Quran, this ayat, this short ayat, is like, subhanAllah, shouts and knocks on people who are deeply immersed in slumber. Their sleep is heavy. People are far unrooted from the deen of Allah. Or it's like a call and, knocks on the head of drunkards whose senses are dulled by intoxication, fully drunk, subhanAllah. Or at fools dancing in festivity full of noise and clamor. People dancing, they don't care about what's happening. When Azra, when the angel of death come take them, they go, what's going on? What's going on? You're going to be like, the first thing that the person who's transgressed himself, the first thing he will see from the word of the unseen, that these people, they deny its existence, is humiliation, being slapping their faces and slapping their backs. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ تَرَى إِذِ الظَّالِمُونَ فِي غَمَرَاتِ الْمَوْتِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ بَاسِطُو أَيْدِيهِمْ أَخْرِجُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. And the other قَالَ يَضْرِبُونَ وُجُوهَهُمْ وَأَدْبَارَهُم وَذُوقُوا عَذَابَ الْحَرِيقِ. Taste now the punishment of the fire. That's the word of the unseen that the people deny. The first aspect of the word of the unseen that they see and they could not then deny it is humiliation, being slapped on their faces and slaps on their backs. Can you imagine someone, respected person, come a person slapping their face and the second person slapping him on his back? What's he gonna do? That's how the angel they do to humiliate these people who denied the existence of the hereafter. These knocks and shout reverberate through this entire section with a single rhythm and a single warning. It's like, wake up, open your eyes, look around, pay attention, reflect, ponder. There is a God, there is a divine management, there is a predestination, there is a trial, there is a judgment, there are consequences, there is accountability, there is a reward, there is a severe punishment and a great bliss. Wake up, open your eyes, look around, pay attention, reflect, ponder, and so it repeats again a second, third, fourth, and fifth time, even a 10th time, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us with His rahmah. Along with the knocks and shout, there is a strong hand shaking the drunken sleepers, the oblivious ones, violently. They open their eyes as if they are looking through the haze of intoxication, then they return to their previous state. The strong hand returns. It's like description of this ayat. To shake them violently once again. The loud voice calls out to them again, and the violent knocks on the ears and hearts continues. Sometimes the sleeper awakened to subtly and defiantly say, no, I don't want it, like the kafirin, like the mushrikeen who have been denying the message of the Prophet. Then they pelt the caller and warner with stones and insults, how they did. Then they return to their state, so the shaking begins once more, because Allah is the most merciful, calling His servant to just be showered with His bliss. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to understand the Quran, to give us the ability to ponder on the Quran, to reflect on the Quran, to translate the ayat of the Quran into a path of guidance which illuminate our heart and help us, inshaAllah, be firm on the deen and act in righteousness, action which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khair. We'll continue bi-idhnillahi ta'ala the next Friday. Barakallahu feekum.